Hi, everyone, and welcome to this Womanship Worryless Lunch, a series where we go back behind the bios with real conversations with the women who make it their purpose to help us thrive. These are the parts of their stories we don't often talk about that deeply shape who they are. I'm Nicolette Lazarus, founder of Womanship, and today in our session From Surviving to Thriving, the Science of Biohacking, I'm really excited to be sharing this lunchtime with Melissa Schuman, founder of VitaFix. Melissa is a health expert helping ambitious women reclaim their health and energy through science-based biohacking, lab testing, and personalized natural healing protocols. Her expert spans hormone optimization, gut therapy, naturopathy, nutrition, and cutting-edge biohacking techniques. Her mission was born out of personal tragedy and resilience, and today not only is she transforming women's health worldwide, she'll also be joining us as a speaker at the Womanship Connected Health Weekend this September. So wherever you are in your story, grab your lunch, take a breath, and join us. Whether you're watching live or catching up on replay, we're really glad to have you here. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you so much, Nicolette. Thank you for having me on this amazing lunch moment.
Fantastic. So I'd love to know where you're joining us from today and what's on your plate for lunch.
I'm joining from Eindhoven, so I'm based in the Netherlands. I'm doing a lot of my work online though, so this is actually perfect. So joining from Eindhoven right now, and what's on my lunch plate? Well, I have my lunch right here. I have a salad with red beets, goat's cheese, chicken, nuts and seeds. So already.
Sounds great. So I always love connections. So how do you remember us first meeting and about that first connection moment?
Well, to be honest, the first time we met through a mutual friend. She introduced us to each other, and maybe Evelyn is watching. Thank you for introducing us, if you are. So we met through her, and we caught up in like a video call, like only a couple weeks ago, actually. And I think that meeting was immediately not just a conversation, but connection. And that's a shout out to you, really, because the first question that you asked me is to tell my story, to get to know who I am and why I do what I do, and what my internal motivation, I believe, is for the work that I do. So getting behind the person was actually the connection that we could make. You told me your story, I told you mine, and it was a very warm conversation that we had.
I love that conversation, and that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you at the Connected Health Weekend. And yes, thank you, Evelyn, for this amazing introduction. She raves about the results her and her partner have got through working with you. So yeah, I'm a huge fan already. So going back to these connections and that first question that I asked you, I really believe that we are a sum of all the things that have happened in our life, both positive and negative, that have shaped who we are and brought us to who we are today. So I'm going to ask that first question, and it is, what makes you the woman that you are today?
Yeah, to be honest, like I'm 29 years old now. I'm turning 30 soon, and honestly, I always say that the first part of my life was a very happy childhood. Like I had everything that I could wish for, but it changed quite slowly but dramatically throughout my life. Mostly like the time that we're supposed to like find ourselves, and the puberty, the adolescence, like the young adult life. It was a very challenging time for me. I had a lot on my plate. I had a lot of people to take into consideration in my life and to take care of, especially my father, who was very sick, both physically and mentally. And I was also not in my best health myself. So the baseline for who I am today really did start with me and my dad.
So tell us a little bit more about that.
So when I was very young, 6 years old, my parents separated. My father found a new love in his life. I think the love of his life. But was always, as I can remember, was always very sick. He had a lot of inflammation type disease, was battling the depression on and off, struggling, apparently, which I didn't know about, struggling in a later phase of his life with alcohol, sleep medication, and also drugs, partying, trying to reinvent himself after a very hard childhood, trying to live through his own trauma, I think, in the best way that he could. But it reversed the role, like the parentification, as they so call it. It reversed the role of the parent taking care of the kids. And like my brother and I, especially when I was around like 16 years old, and his wife actually passed away and he found her, it reversed a lot. He went downhill. He started suffering more. He had more problems in his health, mental health as well. And my brother and I just had to step up to take care of him, have these conversations with him. So I just added a lot of roles. Like I wasn't just a student and working multiple jobs to pay the bills, but I was also a therapist. And while I was a daughter, I felt like I was a caretaker. And yeah, some things were born from that momentum of trying to help him out, trying to find the right healthcare for him, trying to find the right people or experts to relieve him. And it just took a toll on me, not knowing that that was happening. And that went on for years and years. And eventually my father tried to commit suicide, didn't work. Or like on the edge of, he went into a coma, and he was on life support for a while, then into a hospital for months on end, then rehabilitation for months on end. Like that was my life, like changing sheets and bringing socks and taking him to all his appointments. And like I was only like a 20-year-old myself. So by that time I was just taking care of everything. My brother as well. And I just tried to, in some ways, hide or like flee away from the situation at times. Like I went to part-time live with my boyfriend back then, which was farther away. I lost myself in people pleasing, and I completely forgot about my own health concerns, my own health issues, and I didn't attend to my self-care and self-love in that time at all, because he came first.
It's such a huge responsibility, I think, this switch between us being the children and becoming the parent, and happening so young. I can only imagine how much weight that put on your shoulders, because I know how little it's talked about, even as we get older and our parents get older.
Yeah, and I believe there's so many people in this world, men and women, that have some type of, I wouldn't even call it burden, but some kind of responsibility, or what they feel as a responsibility on their plate, not even realizing what that does to the person they're becoming, the patterns that they have, like the skills, even some maybe inconvenient thought patterns that they build there for the rest of their life, that are gonna come back one way or another.
Yeah, that it influences us. And I'm always amazed at how little thought people give to their actions and how it influences the people around them, whether they're parents and what that will do to their children, almost forgetting that they've had things that have maybe influenced their life negatively, because you mentioned that, for example, that your father may have had trauma in his life.
Definitely. Yeah. For him, I was a person to talk to. We've had conversations about life, about emotions, about spirituality when I was very young. Like that started when I was like 12 years old, and we would stay up all night and have these kind of conversations, because that was also the relationship that I had with him, which was very beautiful and very helpful for me evolving emotionally. So he taught me a lot, and he let me feel a lot. And at the same time, that also triggered me to like repay him in the best way that I could to care for him.
Yes.
Yeah, but in the process, as you said, it will take a toll on you building the foundation of who you are, especially like I was in like the period of time like puberty, adolescence. It's like a period of time where you trying to figure out who you are and what you want to do and who you want to be. Like if there's so much stuff going on, it almost automates itself, and you turn into a robot version of yourself, which is later in life you figure out not always helping you.
Yeah, I think that happens to so many people, that they do what they think they should do and actually don't have the time or the headspace to look internally and say, who am I and what do I want to become and what do I want my life to be like?
Yeah.
So tell me about some of the health struggles that you experienced then during this time.
So actually, when I was a baby, and this is of course of what I know from my parents, as I was still a baby, I already had trouble with my digestion. Like I was, as a baby, constipated all the time, which was a big issue. When I was 2 years old, there was already the like, I always call it like the sticker, the diagnosis of IBS.
Right, which is
So
irritable bowel syndrome, for those people who don't know.
yes, so the irritable bowel syndrome is already something that I grew up with, not really knowing what I should do with that. Like you had the fibers that you got from the doctor, and they told you do not stay on the toilet too long, and like all these small little things, drink enough water, eat enough fiber, that you think you have to do, but life also just continues, of course. And so that was already
And those are bits of information that almost everybody is told. You know, you need to
yeah,
drink enough water, you need to have enough fiber. So not getting the specific help is also, you know, something that we deal with a lot, I think, when we're given diagnoses like that.
yeah, exactly. And I think the same happened when I was 12 years old, and as a woman, my first period came, and it was a struggle for me for years. I had PCOS, which is irregularity, especially in your period and your cycle. Very heavy bleedings. I was kind of out of it, heavy bleeding 1 week every month. I couldn't do my schoolwork in the way that I should and wanted to. I got so sick from cramping that I got nauseous, so I was puking all the time. Like it was a very disturbing me getting into my feminine cycle. Like I also didn't know that it wasn't really normal. I thought that every woman had an experience like that, at least. And once I got to know that it wasn't normal, the first thing that they did was just place an IUD and then just go on with your life.
It's so strange that, again, it's one of the principles of womanship, how little we talk about our bodily functions and what happens,
Yeah.
and how alone we feel when we think that there is a normal.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that a lot of women know they should talk about it, but don't really talk about it because there's some kind of taboo.
Yes.
Based on this, the cycle and the fact that we are like chaotic, cyclic beings, which is way different than, of course, our society is built on as well. And it just didn't have a place for a long time. And I think that's beautiful about womanship as well, is that we are trying to give this a voice, and also see it as a strength, because you can definitely put it to your advantage, use it to your advantage if you start and see the beauty of it and you got it under control as well.
So what else was happening along your life? So you went through this period where you're coming to terms with your womanhood and how to control this monthly cycle that women go through, and learn to live with. So what else was happening with life?
Like on the side, I was just trying to figure out where's my future heading, trying to do everything at the same time. I tried, as I had the IUD at starting age 15, my periods went away completely, which is something that the IUD can do. So I didn't have a cycle anymore. So I thought, okay, so this means that my problem is gone as well. Now I know it's symptom treating, but at the time I thought, okay, perfect. Well, I can go on a roll. And then these personal things started popping up and took over. And in the meantime, I was just trying to make some money, have some jobs on the side. And of course, I tried to use the situation I was in, and the wish to help my dad, help myself, to make a decision on what kind of study am I going to do, which led me, I slipped down in the educational system because I was sick so much. I was not in school enough. So I slipped down a couple degrees, and that actually got me to the point that at 15 years old, I got to choose my first education. So I chose to start studying a 4-year study about personal life coaching, with the base on nutrition, and herbalism as well. So I just started to study and learn and learn and learn. And I really put myself into studying and knowledge as much as I could. It was like my rock to keep control. Like whatever I did in my education, that was my control. And I really clung to that, because the things that were happening in my life were more out of control. So I just used this nerdishness, this geekishness of myself to, have some kind of rock, some kind of lifeline.
So while you were doing this and starting your studies and getting into this area with nutrition and coaching, how did that relate to your father and the help that he was getting with his problems?
Honestly, I went to visit doctor after doctor with my father. I also heard him come back from appointment after appointment, just adding on the amount of medicine that he got at home. I remember going to the hospital with him, that he had to bring his medicine, and we just had to get like a big bag to get everything in. It was so much. And it was all these different diseases, like I don't know how to call it, like rheumatitis, like it was all the inflammation type disease. He had stomach issues. He had sleep issues. He had the mental issues, which of course is also neurotransmitters that are off. There were a lot of different things that he was like diagnosed for, but it was all like, they all had their own like diagnosis. There was no lining in between. He wasn't really helped. And every single doctor just added on some more medicine for symptom relief, or And it was just, it just blew my mind how this system was working for him, or actually not working for him, because he was just getting worse. And he was numbed, and he also seemed very numbed, and I just felt like,
it's so strange how the healthcare system is treated in these kind of verticals. And it's the same with the way that, you know, I look at womanship and say, everything that we involve is connected. You know, if you've got struggles in health or finance or, you know, emotional issues, it's all connected. And we need to start looking at it under one roof, which is what I'm really trying to do with Womanship, rather than looking at these verticals that don't take anything else into account.
Yes, exactly. And as I finished my nutrition study, because I thought, oh, this is something, you know, that we are not taught at all. Like, I started to figure out in my own research that I was doing, like being that young, I was doing research like, what kind of food can I give my dad to make sure that he doesn't get like an episode? Or what can I do to make sure that he feels mentally better? Or what can I do from that nutrition perspective to make sure that his inflammation goes down? And I got into this like rabbit hole of information, thinking, okay, well, the system is built that there is always a solution for healthcare problems, which is study healthcare. So as I finished my nutrition education, which was also, to be honest, very basic and built on male studies, built on governmental guidelines, and built on losing weight, that I was like, this is not why I want to study nutrition. I want to know how nutrition can help the root cause of sickness. If that apparently doesn't exist, then maybe I should study healthcare. So I actually went into the Western healthcare education. I did choose to do so in a way that I didn't want to go like be a doctor myself, but I wanted to teach people, because I already felt like I want to spread word of information. So I went into the teacher education for healthcare, which also included like the nursing type school that I could teach, like the upbringing, emotional health, psychology, and nutrition as well. But it was like a minor subject. And after like finishing that school, and in that time also losing my stepmom, and then later on losing my dad, I just realized like, I am going to finish this education, and I am going to teach in what I know, which is the upbringing, trauma, nutrition. Like I'm going to try and find a job to teach. And I'm going to, on the side, just keep learning for a couple more years in all these other things that are not the normal. So in these years when I was teaching, I just studied Chinese medicine, and I studied Ayurveda, and I studied, I even went to New York to work in a health farm, studying hormone export on the side, thinking, wow, this womanhood, how beautiful, and why is this like cycle not included in life and education, in nutrition? Why is it so, what is going on? And seeing that and helping some women on the side already, I just saw, okay, I need to dig deeper into finding the root cause of issues, because there is always an answer to a question. And if we start like putting everything in different boxes, we're not ever going to see what the Pandora box may unfold if we just throw it all in one, I always say, beautiful puzzle, and just throw all the puzzle pieces on the table and see where it clicks. Yeah. And see where the hell is the missing piece. And that got me into into studying like gut therapy, nutrition on a deeper level, orthomolecular nutrition, and all these things. And then I actually a little over 2 years ago, I got into a very big scare. I got into a car crash, quite an extensive one. And I thought I was fine. I got out of the car with some neck pain, and I thought I was absolutely fine. And 2 days later, actually on the day that my father passed, a couple years before, that same day, I collapsed, and my partner had to bring me to the hospital because I couldn't speak anymore, and I lost the feeling in the whole left side of my body. I couldn't move. And like, even a neurologist didn't know what the hell was happening to me, because I kept normal and my body kept functioning for 2 days after the accident. And I thought, okay, so adrenaline took over. And as soon as that day, that very hard, emotional day about my father passing some years ago, that I wanted to get through was over, the end of that day, going to sleep, I crashed. So the letting go was that moment for me. Like,
again, that mix between mind and body, and how they work together. And again, they're so often separated, but that's sort of logic that you're giving in terms of your mind was in this position of saying, I will go forward, I will get through this, masked everything else. And again, that mind-body connection is something we are so separated from in life.
Yeah, and the interesting thing was, like, I was already in a car accident while my father was sick years before, and I never did anything with it, but I had constant headaches, migraines, back pains, that I just kept pushing through. And my body, actually, I healed myself with all my studies. I healed my gut, I healed my PCOS. I went into this whole, like, holistic movement, like the biohacking, finding the like healing my own biology, and I felt so much better. And then this crash happens, and you get pulled back into the trauma of your body that you had before, and you set your mind to, I need to get through the day of death of my dad. And you can actually, without knowing it, move your body through these days without feeling anything. And crashing in that moment, and the weeks and months and even the year after, when I was trying to get better, I realized this is it. This is how we work. The body is so connected, all the organs, all the different systems, even the mental, the emotional, like, I cannot even fathom how many how many chords go through all these different systems, how well connected everything is. And realizing that, I thought, I have to stop doing what I'm doing. I have to dive deeper into biohacking. There must be more to the story, to how to actually help people. And I thought, wait, you know what? Helping women that I'm doing already might not be enough. I'm going to use my own healing from this car crash, healing from a very bad place. I'm going to share my story on socials, and I'm going to share how I am trying to get to know my body and get to know my whole health journey. And I'm just gonna lay it out there, and I hope people will get intrigued, or at least informed or inspired by what I'm doing, knowing that every health journey is unique, and we should see it in that perspective as well. Like, what works for me doesn't have to work for you, and know that that is true. Try your own, and maybe I can help.
Sorry, so many points there that I love. So just the fact of everything, you know, it goes back to my connection, everything I love about connection that I started with. So it is, everything that happens within us is connected.
Yeah.
actually connecting to ourselves and our bodies and our minds and understanding that connection point, and then you using that connection, all these pieces to connect with other people to help them understand their own stories. So sorry, mind blown. I'm just, connection just keeps back again and again and again.
Honestly, like if people look at me, like I'm turning like red right now, like because this is energy.
Yeah.
You know, there is a lot of like, I am burning up because this, for me, this is my story that I'm telling the world. Like I know I have to be like in a way self-aware. I'm vulnerable. Like I don't share this story in this way as much as I maybe should. Like if I talk to my like business coach, they say, tell your story, but it's so vulnerable that it has to, the energy has to be right to also like explain where this comes from, because no one can really tap into that energy fully understand what you do or why you do it if they do know your story and what you came from. And for me, it comes from, honestly, it comes from strength. I'm only grateful for my family, for my dad, for my journey, for even for 2 car crashes that were not my fault. You know, I'm grateful for them. I know it really completely threw over my entire life. Like it pushed me to stop my teaching job and fully commit to VitalFix, to my business. Like it pushed so many buttons that I think like there has to be more. There
But
has to be more.
it brings us to where we are. And again, it's that you feel an emotion, and people forget, again, the connection between mind and body. You feel an emotion, you feel the vulnerability, and it displays itself physically. And again,
Yeah.
people, that's the mind body connection. And, you know, going and asking for you to share your story, and thank you so much for doing so. It shows that we are all a connection of what's happened in the past. And I think unless sometimes we go back and revisit the things that have happened in our past, we will
Mm-hmm.
never understand ourselves and where we are today.
Yeah.
And
And
I'm
I
just,
believe, and as like I believe that we are always an unfinished story. You know, we're just a book that keeps on being written. And like I feel like new shifts happening right now, like the new energy and new, like even people who are into like astrology and things, like a new eclipse is coming. And like it doesn't really matter where you take from or where you feel from. It's letting yourself also be guided and let go.
yes.
That's
And
yeah.
sorry.
I think that's part of being a woman.
And we learn from each other's stories. And this is why so often we don't tell our stories and women don't share their stories, because it makes them feel vulnerable, because we look back and we think that we've made, quote, mistakes, because what's ever happened may be shameful. And actually, until we start sharing our stories, we don't see how many of us share similar bits of the stories, whether it's trauma, whether it's, you know, and all these different areas that we keep to ourselves. Actually, when we start talking about them, we realize how connected we really are and how many of these things that we actually share. And for me as women, it's so important that we share our stories. It's vital.
It is. And I think that also we are a little bit programmed to try and be perfect. And the like I have to be really honest, like there were years, and this is for me now in the past, that I felt guilty about, like sometimes hiding, running away from the care of my dad. Like there were moments that I felt so overwhelmed that I just completely socially went off the rails or completely isolated myself. There were so many things that I regretted, even though it was my response to the situation and what I knew back then. But like looking at perfectionism, looking at self-love, self-acceptance, the these are still things that I sometimes struggle with, and there are still things that will come up in my relationship. And even though I may be, and I don't like to even say this out loud myself, but I know I am an example to a lot of women that follow me. But I will not pretend to be perfect because I will never be. And I have to still let go of wanting to be and sharing the story.
It
Sharing
doesn't
the story, yeah.
I can tell you at my age, there's still, things that I want to do better. But the point is, the things that you described, feeling guilty about running away from responsibility or withdrawing, these are things that I think we all feel that are individual and that we are wrong for feeling them and it's only us. And again, by sharing your story, I think all of those things that you've mentioned are things that we have all felt and all feel that we carry individually and alone, where actually they are common human and very female responses to life that we share.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe also knowing more and feeling more, especially as women, we cannot compare ourselves with men, not in a biological way, not in a hormonal way, not in the sense of how we view the world, how our mind works, how what our thoughts do to us and with us. Like, it's just completely different. And I love having these conversations also with men, like for women to like understand each other and see each other and help each other, but especially also for men who are trying to realize, like, how does this woman, this brain, how does she work? I think these conversations are like the best to have.
Oh, I'm just like the things that you touch on, I just get tingles about because, we need to understand ourselves as women and we need
Yeah.
to go back into our feminine energy and own it and stop looking at the male way of doing things as an example, because as you said, we are completely different. And no
Yeah.
more can we be considered as little men in our healthcare, in how we work, in how we think, because we bring different skills to the table. And until we as women start stepping into that power, we will never get the world balance of feminine energy, which is so badly needed at this moment in time. We're 50% of the 51% of the population. So we need our feminine energy by coming together to change all the conflict that's happening. But to do that, we have to come together first. Okay, sorry. I'm loving this conversation. I could talk to you for ages about it. However, I also think people have tuned in to hear what biohacking actually is. So how would you describe it? And so we can hear a little bit more about what you do and the amazing results that you get for your clients.
Well, as I said, everything is connected. And biohacking plays into this in a very practical way, because I think what for us humans is really nice to have is if we can understand things. Like, we need to be able to get what we're doing and why we're doing it. And I think biohacking is exactly that. If you just look at the word biohacking, it actually means being curious and gathering information about your unique biology and um, responding to it. So what you might see in biohacking, and a lot of people think of all the technology that is out there, that is way beyond where you should start. Like, biohacking could be tuning into your body, not feeling that you respond well to an orange. It could be getting, and that's what I do, getting lab tests, like scientific, science-based research on how your body is working right now. So getting blood markers, getting hormone levels, getting your gut microbiome, parasites, mold, yeast, infections, inflammation, like reading these markers.
Oh, I've lost you for a moment. Sorry. Are you there? I lost your volume. Can you hear me? So sorry, you're now on mute. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. You cannot hear
Perfect.
me.
Okay,
Yeah, you can. Okay.
so
Yeah,
sorry.
we're back.
Let's jump back in.
It's okay. It's okay. What I was saying is that I try to get as many markers as I can to explain the physical health of the human body. And with that, you can, of course, dive deep into your physical biology, and you can have a starting point of also mental capacity, focus, productivity, how you feel, which is, of course, we're linked to our brain, neurotransmitters. So it's the whole practical, scientific part of holistic health. And I think that is a very nice place to start, to not treat symptoms, but to find the root cause of an issue. And if you can find the root cause of problems, you can, in my opinion, naturally find a way to heal. And I think that if you're physically and partially also mentally, if you heal that connection for yourself, within yourself, then you will have the vessel, the space to look beyond and optimize with like biohacking technology. You can optimize with a lot of different like hacks, but you can also optimize from a deeper level of emotional trauma, like the relationships that you have, the world that you live in, the people you surround yourself with. That's all part of it. And I think that what I do is I offer a very strong science-based baseline that gives you the root cause of issues that can help you naturally heal. And of course, you have me on the side so I can coach and talk with you and have these conversations with you to help you move forward. And I think being a real good expert is also saying, I can help you until here. And I feel like you could take the opportunity from this health, like the healed physical state, to move beyond and find a hypnotherapist or like anyone that suits your fancy. But I try to be the base, and I try to do that science-based, fully natural, and I try to stay away from the Western ideal of treating symptoms because I want to find the root cause.
I love how that all comes together. And also, again, I think this is why I loved our initial conversation about the fact that often it's not just one person who can help your journey. And having that openness to say, this is what I can help you with, and maybe now you need to look at this or this or this, I think is how we need to be treating our health systems and working together as health and wellness professionals. So we're providing this sort of cradle of connected health care rather than, again, these silos that I was talking about.
Yeah. I think that I call myself the nerd in heels. Like I chose the scientific, the biohacking, the gut therapy, the hormone expert, the nutrition. I chose these things because that's what my journey gave me, and that's what I became really good at. But I know that having a conversation with me will not be the same as having a conversation with someone else. And I think people need to choose based on who they feel connected to, but also who they feel will help them most. And I believe myself that I can be a very important starting point for a lot of people because I already dig really, really deep, and I can create the situation of a healed place physically. And if you have the energy, then you can move away from that. Like I feel like, and that's my core value, that the physical health is a baseline, because we need to feel the energy and also the mental capacity to dive into like trauma. And a lot of people will flip the switch on this. And I do also believe that there is physical trigger from emotional health or trauma or whatever is underneath. I see it all the time. But my belief is that this is the starting point, because you need the energy to be able to work through that. And I know that there is different perspectives on that, which I can also understand, but that's how I see it.
But I think it's also that, as we said earlier, there's no one right route that is going to work for every single woman in every single circumstance. So it really is about just finding what works for you. And as you say, that energy connection with somebody when you're looking for help is incredibly important. You know, do I have a connection with this particular therapist in this particular area? If not, I just don't think there's much point working with people, because that connection is the baseline for these relationships to start. So tell me some of the reasons why women come to you. You said, for example, lack of energy. So what are the kind of reasons why people will come to you, women specifically, for your support and expertise?
The group that I see most, or the complaints, the symptoms that I see most, is usually aligned with my own story. I see a lot of women with PCOS, irregular periods. I see a lot of people that struggle, women that struggle with fertility because of that. And I see a huge amount of gut issues, bloatedness, skin, eczema, psoriasis, like all the things combined. And then there's the second huge group, which is women in perimenopause, menopause. Like, I feel like I help the fertile woman and the not yet anymore as much fertile woman, because it's different and the same. I see PMS, like these complaints are the same. The bloatedness, the skin outbursts, getting hot, getting cold, it happens with fertile women just as much, but it just works a little bit differently. It's so well connected, these phases, to each other, that I see both. When I look at my social media, I see a lot of women in my own age category coming to me. But actually, this Sunday, I'm starting a group of women in perimenopause with another woman who is of age. And I see that this combination is amazing as well, because I know I am the hormone expert. Also for this phase, so I can help with this baseline. But I will see IBS, PCOS, menopause, perimenopause, and energy or skin issues most.
And so what is it about your approach that makes your work so effective? Because you have incredible success rates.
Yeah, my success rate is huge, but I think it's because I've now worked with 340 plus women so far in my one-on-ones. My one-on-ones are extensive. Like, I only take on so many women at the same time. I try and personalize everything. I try and be clear on what tests do you need, like what supplements, what nutrition, what lifestyle protocol, low tox living. Like, the approach of mine is so personal, and so based on finding the root cause, that that already differs. I have yet seen another woman, at least in the Netherlands, that has the extensive backgrounds, study backgrounds, to do this work as I do. And I definitely believe there's more women that can do the same. But I think my being able to combine guts and thyroid and neurotransmitters, brain, gut, inflammation, all these things together, being able also to read the different lab testings as if it's one. I think that is the thing that almost no one can do because it's not taught. You have to look for this, these studies and specifically do them each by each, and then find the common links, the synthesis between them. And I think that's what is also me as a person. I'm analytical. I love to solve the puzzle, and individualize the plan that comes out of it. And I think that's what makes me unique in my approach.
And also something that I think is important is almost the coaching element that comes alongside it, which is, yes, it's understanding all the science, but again, it's that mind connection where your coaching comes in incredibly useful. That means it feels like a really combined package that people can share what's on their minds. And when we share, share more, worry less. Again, that also is an important part of what you bring to the table.
Yeah, I always say to people that I have on like a sales call or that I just have a conversation with, like it's not always it's not always easy. It's a high end, one-on-one, personalized thing that I do. But because I keep the amount of clients low, I can be their friend expert. So I know this word is actually someone else has claimed it, but being like your biohacking bestie, your biohacking sister, the expert friend, that's what I want to be. So I've been at home in my clients' houses. Like there's people that are borrowing my red light lights or my PEMF mats because they want to try and don't know. Like there's things that I go out of my way to be this person for you.
Yeah.
And that's the energy that I wanna be able to give. And of course that has pros and cons like everything. But I want to give you the experience. Like I speak all my clients still, like only the male clients that I used to have, I don't talk to anymore. But like all the women that I've helped, there's always in a year, in a month, there's in the time span always a moment that we come back together or we talk or we call, or that's the connection that I build. It's like over time, especially if you're with me for 6 months or even 12 or even 1.5 years, you become friends.
And that's such an interesting approach when you compare it to the, 7-minute doctor's appointment. I'm not saying exactly how long they are. And, I feel for doctors because they're trying to read everything that's happening to us when they just hear one symptom in such a short space of time. And you look at the system and say, how is that ever going to work when, for example, women get turned away when they start talking about perimenopausal symptoms and get prescribed antidepressants, for example, which happens a lot because we're just talking about the symptom rather than everything else in life that's happening in our mind and our bodies to actually bring us to the point of having a doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
So oh my gosh, time has gone really quickly.
Wow. Yeah.
I could keep talking to you forever. So you're going to be joining us at the Connected Health Weekend. You're actually going to be flying in.
Yes.
Which I am so thankful for. Can you tell us why you decided it was important for you to cut short your holiday to fly in and be with us, to take to the stage, and give us a little preview of what you'll be talking about?
Yeah, so I feel like it's the most important thing for me and my personal mission as well, to spread the word about what is possible. What is possible for women. To take off the caps and have a wider perspective of all the possibilities and all the experts, and how much better you can feel. Um, and you giving me, Nicolette, the opportunity to do that for an audience. Yeah, I cannot think twice about speaking to women to give them this message. Like I always say, be a little better every day. Like if I can help one woman in my lifetime, I'm good. Like every single person that I can inspire is one more. So inviting me to the stage, I'm very grateful, and I will on stage be me, like I am today, and I will talk more about relations of physical and mental health and biohacking. So I will dive into these synergies of our system, and I want to explain to women where like symptoms of that women experience a lot in every single phase of their life come from. I'm going to talk a lot. There's going to be a lot about hormones in your beautiful event in the weekend, but I will try and pull that down to the hormone, gut, and brain axis. So I will go into these three beautiful organs that are very well connected with each other, and I will go explain how biohacking can help you in this synergy.
I am so excited to see your session. I just know how much knowledge you have to give women, and I think just giving women knowledge from different places at the event again enables them to choose their own and create their own individual path. So thank you so much for sharing your beautiful story with us, and the science and who you are today. For anybody who wants to go deeper, Melissa is on the Womanship platform. You can reach her there, as well as via vitafix.nl. And of course, please come and join us at the Connected Health Weekend, the 27th and 28th September. It's in central Amsterdam. We have Melissa and over 60 speakers over the course of the weekend, so you can plot your own path and find your own way to thriving. So thank you for sharing more so we all worry less. I really appreciate your time, Melissa.
Thank you so much, Nicolette, for having me. It was a blessing.